You know, this was all very green. It was just too green in this area. So, as I mentioned, I raised the value along this back edge of the bush. And I went with some ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and alizarin crimson. With a few strokes of more alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. So it sort of went purple-ish, which of course is related to this. And that's about it. but I think it helps. You know, there's still content here without being too important and too green. There was this block of green, and everything else was not green. Yeah, you know, the fall colors are maybe just starting on these distant bushes, but this is standing proud of everything else. It's more exposed to the weather. It has no strata. It has no strata. It has no substrate for these trees that are struggling on this pointy rock. This point of rock. So they suffer more. They're more exposed to the wind, the cold. Those will be the first to turn anyway. And it's not a painting about botany. It's a painting about the painting. So I'm going to call that happy. I did, you know, as I mentioned, put a few more trunks in here. Somebody suggested that. Now, mind you, I hadn't really gotten to this point yet, but it was needed. It helps. I've done very little anywhere else now. Put a couple more light strokes in the water. I'm so tempted to lay in something of a high value, just one or two strokes in the water, but you know, when you zoom in on it, as I do when I'm sitting right in front of it and painting, I feel, oh, I really would like to lay more light on there, just in this area. But when I back up from it, as a whole, if I were to lay too much value down here, it begins to pull things down, and I don't want that. I want the interest to be here. You know, this could be the focal point. Don't forget, your focal point doesn't have to be the most interesting part of the painting. It's the point at which you are first attracted to in the painting. From there, you can wander all over the place and have a look. That is my opinion. So, I put a signature on there. I'm going to take it up with me. I'm going to consider it finished. Well, finished for now, which may mean finished. But I'm happy to move on to a fresh canvas. So that's what I'm going to do next time. And I guess right now I'll just get behind the camera and zoom in and do the look around. Okay? I'll flick my screen back so I can see what's going on. Let's start up here. I know I talked about worms, a bunch of worms making up the brush strokes of the bushes on top. That's gone now. To my view, it's just sort of more bushy. You know, and I made this part of the bush a little thicker. Made all kinds of changes as we've gone on. And that's what you have to do. A painting is an evolution. Don't make a plan and stick to it completely. If you do that, by definition, you're not being creative. I'll put a little more light back there on those red bushes. And then down to our rocks. Fairly fuzzy brush strokes in some places. That's okay. Some softer edges, some harder edges. You got to remember though that your harder edges will always attract the eye more strongly. The viewer will see those hard edges immediately. It's not that they're always the most attractive, but they demand a person's attention. Whether the viewer knows it or not, that is exactly how it works. Okay, I'm kind of floating around here. And then down to the water. And you know, I may still see all those soft edges in the water. For the most part, I may need to lay a little bit, like one stroke or two in the water. I don't know. It's right now it's under studio light. It's not under real live living room type conditions, right? So I prefer to sort of try to keep that in mind when I'm painting, because I want the final owner of the painting to enjoy it in their living room. And if they have an area that has really good lighting for paintings, then it has to be enjoyed for that too. But lighting for that is often also slightly different than the lighting in the studio. You know, this very white cap bothers me a little bit. But you know what? The longer I look at it, the more everything bothers me. Sometimes it's good just to stop. I do not believe in such a thing as the perfect painting. I believe very much in allowing the human element to creep into it, and I don't mean the human element as in a fence or a cabin in the subject matter. I mean irregularities or slight inconsistencies in the process of creating the painting. I like it. I like imperfections. Nothing too crazy, but I do like that. I like a few rough things. I like things rustic. Mostly because I make mistakes all the time. Thanks, guys. Next time we'll have a new canvas. Talk to you soon.